Oh, really?
Yeah.
I gotta read that. Yo, G, you ready? Because we're live.
Whoa! Here we are. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Breaking the Mold. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what episode it is. Anybody know
60.
what episode we're on? 60. 60. Fantastic. I think isn't that Dust's next birthday? The way he talks? No, I'm just kidding.
Yo, listen, he's gonna shut that shit off on us, bro. Don't do
He'll
that
stop
shit.
us right now.
2 more years till Social
Security.
for minimum payout anyway.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? So Jose is got some personal stuff going on. Feel free to reach out to him. He isn't joining us tonight. He may be in the chat. Jose, we got our fingers crossed for you for that. That parental test that you're waiting to get the results back for. So we hope everything is okay. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I try to joke. Keyword being try.
You are the father.
You are the father.
No. So I just listen. There's because the way that we typically do this. I thought I would just mix it up a little bit today since we are breaking the mold, and maybe go a little bit old school style. And Dom, just tell us, hey man, how was your weekend and how are you doing? And did you get like anything specific that you're super psyched about?
Whoa, toy holes again? Oh my
Oh
god!
shit!
Yeah, just pick one. You know,
Just pick
we don't
one?
need a list. We don't need an itinerary of everything we went. You know, where you shopped and what you did. But just if you got something that got you excited or maybe disappointed, just something something specific. But most importantly, how was your weekend?
My week was good. My weekend was awesome. It was very relaxing, and we went to go see my wife's father. He's in the hospital, but he's doing very well. So for a quadruple bypass, he's doing really well.
Hey, that'll be mean.
Okay.
That's a lot of a bypass.
That is, and
My dad had one of those at 44.
Yeah, he's
Look at that,
he's in,
like
he's in, I think he's
four,
in
four,
the
four.
60s. So, but he's in good spirits and he's recovering well. So we might see him this weekend if he's still in recovery, because they said that he might be in there for 5 to 7 days. So we might take another trip up there this Saturday. So, and it's where it's in Dave's neck of the woods. So I might just stop at Dave's house and give him a nice big hug.
Dave's in the fancy part of New York, not the part of New York that I technically live in.
Not the 6th borough.
Yeah.
No. The snow borough.
That's why you were asking me about all your pre-order shit. Now you see, you always got a plan, bro.
That's not the case, dude. It's not the case.
Hey, honey, let's go to Long Island.
Yeah. What was it? What did I get? Well, I'm picking up tomorrow a 1/4 statue. So I purchased it from a seller on eBay, and he's local to me. He's in Jackson, which is just down the street, pretty much. And so I'm meeting up with him tomorrow to pick it up.
You're meeting at a public place, right?
I think I think it's his house, but
Oh boy.
I've done it before, so it's kind of sketchy, but
He's done it before.
Oh, just on a tidbit,
Yeah.
Chris, Mr. Pinkerton, put out can somebody do me a solid and pick up a toy from him, like an item that he needed to, customize. Very popular item that he customizes. So he, I guess it was a woman on face. No, I don't know whether it was at Facebook or it was. I think it was Facebook, and it was very close to my work, and I had to drive to this woman's house and pick it up for him, and I was scared. It wasn't in a great neighborhood, so.
Well, you know the rule. Text one of us before you go, and then text us when
yeah.
you're safe back in the car, because stranger danger and all, right? No need to.
Yeah. I still need to talk to him about that because she also gave him all the figures that were in that photo that he sent me. So there's a couple Ninja Turtles that are in that whole set. So
Oh, for like bonus
Cool.
parts he probably
Awesome.
not aware of, right?
Yeah. I don't know whether the cell was just for the van. He was looking for one of those vans to customize, I guess, and they're coming hard to get. So this woman was selling it for a good price, and it included some turtles with it. So
was it a turtle van?
Yeah, turtle van. Yeah.
Was it the Cowabunga Carl one that he's been making the kick butt? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, I love the one he made for me, the Deadpool that just did the artwork, man. It looks awesome. I'm looking at it right now. It's really good.
It's a nice man, I guess. You can customize, and it has all the stuff that you need, I guess. So, and when he texted me, he said it's hard to get. So, it's been getting hard to get. So, for a good value. So.
All right, are you going to tell us what your statue is, or are you going to wait till next week when you actually have it in hand?
It's the Boba Fett Sideshow premium format.
Boba Fett.
Not the one that Mr. Dave has, but it's the more recent one that came out with the dual guns. So Dave knows what I'm talking about.
When you say dual gun, do you
right?
mean Django?
No, I don't. I'm more. I like more of the Bubba than the Jenga.
No, he's asking if you meant Jango Fett.
No. Dave has a Boba Fett too, right, Dave?
Yeah, I have.
But Dave was talking about the Django the other night, right?
Yeah, I don't think I told you guys I have the Boba as well. I think I don't know. Whatever.
Dom, isn't it scary buying a statue secondhand?
It is, and I have bought a statue secondhand from somebody brand new and used. So, with regards to those big statues and stuff like that, be sure to open them up, inspect them, make sure that they're not broken or the pieces are there and everything is, because you don't want to fuck around with that. So it is kind of like, I've received there's and the risk of shipping them is also a risk in itself, because there are pieces that are fragile and sometimes can break, and that's no fault of the seller at all, because it happens when you ship these things. So I've received a statue that broke, a piece broke, but it was nothing of a big break. It's something I could definitely glue back together, but I didn't make a big stink about it. I just told him that it broke, and he apologized that it did, and he packed it as much, as well as he could, and sometimes these things, are very fragile and they break.
All right, well, we'll keep you in mind, safe journeys for that adventure that you're going on to get it.
Yeah. I think the guy's cool. I've talked to him on the phone, so he's
those are some famous last words, though.
He seems okay.
Yeah. JD, how was your weekend, man?
It was pretty. I mean, it was decent. We had a good weekend. I'm trying to remember what all we did. I don't really think we did much. Sunday we went hunting for turtles.
Yeah.
To no avail. And then whatever yesterday we just
Which turtles, JD? GameStop or
the Target ones?
I gotcha.
Do you have the GameStop the movie ones already?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought you had a set of those. Sure.
Yeah, I pre-ordered those to make sure I got a set. But just kind of hung out, played some video games for the first time in a while. Her and I played some Borderlands 2. If anyone would like to play at some point with us, we'll be playing some Borderlands 2.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Anything specific that you got that you're excited about, like more so than normal? Any highlights? You guys usually have some little treasure you find somewhere.
I don't think so.
How'd those bunny ears work out for you, JD?
Oh, pretty good. I need to christen them. We're gonna hump like bunnies. So.
He said christen, not Chris and them. So,
we found Luigi for her Nintendo stuff. And then the rest of the stuff was like clearance stuff, like Marvel Legends. We got on clearance, so I can tear some figures apart. That was pretty much it. The turtles would have been the highlight. That's what we were hunting.
Well, we saw you building the working on the bricks. You posted. Did you guys finish the castle?
No, we're still working on it.
Gotcha. Okay.
I guess we're taking a little break. She was doing some stairs and kind of lost her shit. I was like, I can't look at these anymore.
Gotcha.
But the stairs are at least done.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good deal. All right. Brian, how about you? Anything happen exciting this weekend?
This weekend.
This week?
Let's see. There was promise of 60-degree weather on Sunday, but that never happened.
Oh, God. What was it, like 50?
No, it just barely got into the 40s. It was really weird.
Oh, sounds awful.
But I watched the majority of the Umbrella Academy, which I just finished about an hour ago.
What do you think?
I really, really liked it.
Really?
I had expectations for the series that were not met, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but the twist for me happened at the very end, and I'll talk about it later should other people watch it. And I thought that was really cool. It's always nice to find a nice series like that.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend, I fell down a very deep rabbit hole. I think I had mentioned this before. The Captain Marvel movie is getting some hate from pretty big time YouTubers. And when I say big time, these are people with like tens of thousands of subs and get, tens of thousands of views and shit like that. And it's a very interesting narrative that they're portraying. I learned terms like virtue signaling and whammon, which I've already forgotten what that was, but it's all a bunch of bullshit, man. I don't know what the fuck's going on with this world. The movie hasn't even come out yet. And supposedly these guys launched a troll attack on Rotten Tomatoes to get the people who want to see it percentage like down from 99% to 30-something% in like a matter of like 3 or 4 days. It was like ridiculous, which kind of broke my heart. Really, it was just like, what the fuck's wrong with people? But yeah, so there's that, and also I'm working on supporting diorama bits for a picture that I'm working on that I think people are going to really like. And it'll be very, very interesting to see who gets it at first. And I think it'll be very charming and people will like it. So I'm excited to work on that. And as far as pickups, I had mentioned a while ago, I don't know if I mentioned it on this show, but I mentioned it on ETR. Josh and JD and I were on a late night hangout a few weeks ago. And we stumbled across these I Am Elemental figures, which is basically like a figure line for young girls to basically, encourage them to embrace things like courage and whatnot. And so I picked up this figure. It was pretty cool. 6-inch figure, highly posable. I didn't like it at first, but then I started working with it, and then I got it to go good. And so there's 2 series of them, and there's an opportunity to complete something right out the gate. So I picked up a couple. I picked up all the other ones, and this one came in this lunch box. It's pretty cool. And so I'm going to open it now. And
Any Twinkies?
That's interesting.
Did Mom pack a Twinkie?
Uh-oh. Interesting.
Yeah,
you sound like me when I opened that Zeta plane at ZoloCon.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
It's got makeup and a tampon.
These figures are, they got a nice aesthetic, and there's an interesting gimmick to them. But so this is a nice posable 6-inch figure. These are 3 3/4 figures, and that's quite interesting. And they aren't 5 POA. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 POA. Huh. That's That sucks.
Just go ahead and put them in the stack for NJCC in 5 weeks and bring them with you.
No, I'm gonna hold on to them for a bit.
At least you got a lunchbox.
Yeah. So this is the Wisdom series, and then they didn't have any of the box set for the first Courage series, so they sent me a bunch of blind bags that they actually know what the figure is, what's inside. So
was that a Kickstarter of sorts?
I think
okay.
So. Yeah, they were winning awards and stuff like that. So they're a really small shop, and basically it kind of makes sense now that they're little, because basically the people buy them for like goodie bags for like events and stuff like that, and hand
like birthdays and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So
baby showers and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. But
you did your good Samaritan deed. You supported a good cause and a good group.
Well, fortunately they weren't very expensive, so it's not like that. But they're I like the message being sent here. It's very good. I don't know, maybe binge watching Harry Potter a couple of weeks ago has just put me in a sentimental mood. What can I say?
Oh, Harry.
Yeah, so I think I've burned enough time for this show. So yeah, go ahead. We're out.
That's it. Good night, everyone. All right, Dave. I know how your weekend went, but I'll let you share the story.
You know how my weekend went.
I do.
You know everything?
Well, I know a little bit about enough to
just get to it.
Be entertained.
Dave, where's your scrapes? You got any scrapes? What happened to you?
No, come on, Brian. I don't always get into fights.
Okay.
Only once in a while. I took a trip to Albany this weekend.
Did people say you were in the wrong pro when they saw you?
No,
it's funny. It is a different world over there.
Dom, he was with me the whole time, so
dude,
we were
Dave
good.
Dave texted me and said, "I haven't seen so many white people in my life."
It's true. My wife even said it, and like she
did.
So
she did.
But yeah. So Gary and his wife had posted about going to a Dane Cook comedy show about 2 months ago, I would say. And I had mentioned it to the wife, and she was like, "Oh my God, it's a Dane Cook. I want to go." I was like, "All right." So I was like, "Let me look into it." And sure enough, there was tickets. So I hit up Gary. I said, "Hey, Gary, what do you think about me and the wife coming up to see Dane Cook with you and your wife?" And he was like, "Dude, that'd be awesome. Let me know, So we wound up, setting it up. I booked the hotel for Friday and Saturday. And
Gary doesn't have a couch?
Yeah, I mean, look, Gary.
This apartment is little, Brian. Yeah, if we were in a house, it'd be one thing, but yeah.
Gary has a very nice apartment, and I'm sure, he would have offered, but I was better off not, because I probably wouldn't have got as busy as I did if I would have been staying at his house. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially with his cats walking around and shit. I'm like, beat it, cat. I'm trying to get my own pussy. Get the fuck out of here. But, yeah, so we took off on Friday, and we decided to go up early. We stopped in the Bronx to get some pizza, because me and the wife got this thing where we're trying to try all the best pizza in New York, being that we are from New York. So we stopped there first, and then proceeded on our way to Albany. Checked into our hotel and met up with Gary and his wife. Got to see his place and shoot the shit with them for a little bit before the show, because they had you had some early access passes or something, right, Gary? Like you got to
yeah. So when we did it, and some people like to go to concerts and some people have kind of different things like that. For us, we kind of realized that comedy shows and trying to go see different people has been pretty cool. Something we liked. We saw Kevin Hart back in DC in the fall. And, I'm not afraid to admit it. I think Dane Cook's pretty funny. And, his movies aren't cinematic art, but entertaining. And so we'd gotten tickets, and without realizing it, we tried to get good seats when we did, but it was part of this VIP package. So 2 days before, my wife got the email and says, "Oh, please, respond and confirm that you're be there at this time for the, pre-show meet and greet." Type of thing. So I'm like, okay, cool. I have no problem going to say hello to, talking to him. So yes, we had that before the show.
So you got to talk to him?
We did. And what was funny is there's probably like, I don't know, 50 people, right, that had those tickets, and they line you up before, and you're like groups of 10 basically. And it was at the Palace Theater, which is a very cool historic theater in downtown Albany. And they kind of tell you, okay, you're going to go down all these stairs and kind of basically into the basement, and they'll take pictures for you. So you're not trying to do selfies, stuff like that. And I will say, I mean, I have not met many celebrities. I've shared my celebrity crush. I met at Comic-Con, a few years ago. I could probably count on 3 fingers if I, celebrity, right? Take it in context, I guess. But he was actually very sincere and very friendly. But the first 10 people were down there for maybe like 20 minutes, right? And then as time is ticking, like the next 10 was faster. And we were in that third group, and it was a lot quicker. It was like you're kind of in and out. And it's just funny because anyone who's met my wife, and Dave, you can attest, so she can talk to anybody at great lengths. And I basically got to say hello and say 2 words. And then she's like, hey, I heard you're from Massachusetts. What part of Massachusetts? And had this whole conversation, which eventually tied into, his act when he was actually talking about stuff later on during the actual show. It's kind of funny. And afterwards, she's like, "Oh, what happened? Did you get nervous? You were quiet." I'm like, "You didn't give anybody else a chance to say anything. You're just."
She took up all of G's time. That's what she did.
She did. I was like, "Come on, you're ruining it." No.
Well, now it's your time.
It was neat.
But what's funny is when I met you, right? Like, because me and Gary went to the show separately. We drove in, in our own vehicles, and we were gonna meet up after the fact. So I met him and he's like, "I'm online in the front for the bathroom." So as he's waiting for the bathroom, there's like a mother and daughter like standing behind him.
Oh, they wanted Dave.
Oh my God. I had to tell my wife when I got back. I was like, yo, the weirdest shit happened to me at the fucking bathroom. Like, so they're talking about the meet and greet. Oh, it wasn't worth it or whatever. And she's like, oh, well, this is my daughter. And I'm like, oh, hi. I'm like, gee, like, like you couldn't tell, they look both young. But like, I was like trying to talk to Gary, and they would talk to me again. And I would talk to Gary, and they would talk to me again. And then then the mother would whisper something to the daughter, and the daughter would start talking to me again. I was like, yo, Gary, what the fuck is going on? I was like, I think they want to come home with us. He's like, I know, dude, let's get out of here.
Yeah, they were pushing hard. Yeah, it was kind of funny.
It was interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but not for nothing. The show was good. The comedians that came on before Dane Cook were pretty funny. They were short, probably one was like maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and the other one.
Oh, I thought you say 5 or 6 feet.
No, short. No, I'm the only short one, but they were funny. Dane Cook was Dane Cook. He was animated all over the fucking place. And after that we met up for dinner, had some drinks, went our respective ways, and we met up the next day. And Gary took me.
Wait, no, pause. You got to say something because this will impress people, and I'll move this along for discussion. But we went to dinner after the show, and I actually not only did I stay awake past midnight on that Friday night, right? But we were out past midnight, like actually still out at places. So I haven't done that in a long time.
And you had a few drinks.
I did.
I'm proud of you. His wife was driving though, guys. So
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's good.
So Gary, let me proceed to tell them you took me the following day on a toy hunt extravaganza in Albany. They have this mall up there, and they got all these stores that I'm not used to. I mean, I know everybody listening, you might have these Think Geek stores. I probably have them out here too, but I had never been to one until he took me to one. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then they had like this other video game store that had a bunch of Hot Toy figures and stuff. And there was something that of interest, and I had inquired about it. And the dude looked at me and he looked at me and probably thought I was just any Joe Schmo off the street saying, oh, look, a Star Wars toy, I want it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking talking to a Realm collector, bro. I know what I'm talking about. Don't fucking jive me up with all these fucking, oh, well, if you get it from here and you pre-order it now, I can take off 10%. And dude was just like adding numbers all over the fucking place. By the time he was done talking, I was already halfway out the fucking store.
Dave's like, where you been spending your Tuesday nights, buddy?
Right.
What character was it?
Well, they had the sideshow, the speeder.
Oh, okay.
And they had it behind glass, like opened. So I said, I'm just curious to ask what it was, and it was more than what it is, like brand new from Sideshow.
Yeah.
I told Gary if he would have gave me a decent number, I would have just picked it up because to have it in front of you, pick it up is something different. You know what I mean? As opposed to like ordering it and just having it shipped to your house. So, but dude was like fucking blowing smoke up my ass. I was like, all right, dude, I'm out of here. Me and Gary walked away.
Yeah.
Speeder bike.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Scout speeder bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a fun weekend. I think it just kind of goes back, and I won't tangent on this too much but we said many times that, through the toys and the hobby and the ROC, getting to cross paths with people. And Dave has invited people, to his house before, and other kind of events that are outside of just like a show or a con. And it was cool. It was good to let the wives kind of hang out and spend some time to talk. They kind of did their thing on Saturday. Dave and I did our thing, hung out, and then met back up for lunch and stuff before. It was a really fun weekend. Actually, probably one of the most entertaining weekends I've had really since moving. Between just work and adjusting to the new place and stuff. And I'll tell you, I didn't really get anything new myself, but Dave inspired me. So I have that bad habit, and you guys knew when you met me, I think, in collecting piece, where I'm guilty at times of someone gets a toy, tears it open right away, like play with it and appreciate it. And sometimes if I get too much stuff at once or more than one thing, I tend to do one at a time, and almost like for some reason, like I'm savoring it, and then I never actually get to open it. So I had a couple Mythic Legions, that had been gifted that I actually got open since then, which was cool. But just letting Dave look at some of my stuff, and I think my Prime is still the way he posed it without realizing it. Brian, I think you mentioned this once before. When you see someone else, look at like your collection else's maybe with a different eye, just by adjusting things, right? How different you can make that display look. That's just interesting. Like I said, it was just, I think, who else did you mess with, Dave? The Red Orc guy I put together, you kind of posed him.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Magic Square Prime, and like I have the grinder in Dino mode and stuff. So it was just kind of fun to see someone else appreciate stuff without having to explain anything.
Right. I had never seen that blue grinder either, like in person, and it was pretty cool. Like, it's well fucking done figure.
Yeah,
what it is.
Gary, it's almost like an out of body experience.
Yes.
Basically, before the realm and stuff, and we all became friends and started, meeting all these people, you're basically at home playing with these toys because you kind of this is a hobby that's in a vacuum most of the time, right?
You got it. Yep.
And watching other people do the hobby that you're into is something that, for this particular hobby, is something you don't see very often. So when you get to witness it, it's something. It sparks something,
So instead of voyeurism, it's called like toyerism.
Toyerism. There you go.
It's here's the thing, though. I think we've all had a. No, but I mean, well, let me ask you. I mean, you guys, we have family members, right, and friends sometimes that may or may not see the collection, and some people don't really understand the value, or maybe that things aren't Hasbro toys, all of them, right? So I guess my point is, like, I was like, hey, Dave, look whatever you want. I don't have to worry about you breaking something, right? Is my point, because he understands what he's handling, what he's looking at. So I don't know. I think that's part of the thing too, Brian, is when you have a fellow collector who understands what he or she is, actually looking at and understands the scale of it. It puts you at ease, I guess, and you can just, like you said, enjoy seeing the hobby through someone else's eyes a little bit. So yeah, very good. All right. So we had a little bit of discussion in our chat, right? That we do, and a couple ideas and just some things to talk about. And JD, you had a pretty cool question, I think, now that some time has passed. And not to rehash the Toys R Us discussion, but I thought your view was kind of interesting. I'll let you post it or pose it to the group.
I mean, it was basically just out of curiosity. I mean, I know, Brian, sometimes makes his rounds. Dom definitely makes his rounds. I do. You know what I mean? Like, since that's closed, how has the collecting before you change.
It's funny, JD, that you bring it up because some of my like some areas that I go into, I don't go in anymore because the Toys R Us is not there.
Right.
So it's like some towns I like that had a Toys R Us, I would go because the Toys R Us was there, and then probably hit up a GameStop in that area or a Target in that area.
Or McDonald's.
But since the funny guy there, funny guy. Burger King, motherfucker. Okay, get it right.
Hey, look, I'm all on board with the flame broiling, man.
Dude.
That's the way to
Whop.
go.
I get the double Whopper, my friend.
Oh.
But no, yeah, like there's
right.
it is. It is.
It's just a microwave.
They just paint the lines on.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, there's some areas that I just don't go in anymore because of the fact that the Toys R Us is not there. So it's unfortunate. So it's you know, it definitely saves me like, you know, time because I'm not going in those areas. But when I do a toy hunt, but other than that, you know,
how many Toys R Us's were in your area?
Within an hour radius, I would say probably 7.
Jesus.
Yeah, 7 Toys R Us's.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
In an hour range, we had 2.
Yeah.
2.
I had Woodbridge, Freehold,
dude, I've been to
East
that
Brunswick. Yeah, East Brunswick. I have Hazlitt. I have you can go down like, you know, I used to go down right from work. I'd drive down 22 and I would hit up the 2 Toys R Us's there too. So it's
the one in
Elizabeth had one, yeah.
And Blue Star Shopping Center.
Blue Star Shopping Center, yeah. And
dude, that's my childhood Toys R Us.
And Raritan. So like, you know, you like there was a bunch of them by me. So they all, you know, they're all gone.
So Dom, have you changed? Like, are you looking in any place different, or is it just you just don't go there anymore?
I just don't go there. Like, I've been stopping in like Barnes and Nobles, like, you know, just
no, that's fair.
To compensate. But you know, where like I probably wouldn't spend the time going there unless I heard something of interest that they're selling or some type of sale that's going on. But you know, other than that, like, you know, it's just. It's noticed. Like, it's noticed. Like when I'm driving, I'd be like, I would have stopped right there in Woodbridge to at that Toys R Us, but I don't anymore. So it's definitely recognized.
So for us, like we only had 2 Toys R Us's within, you know, an hour drive. Pretty much where those Toys R Us's are, there's Walmart, Target, Best Buy. You know, like all the stores are around them. You know, there's like multiple Targets, multiple Walmarts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, aside from stopping there, you know what I mean? We I guess our regular spot now, it would be GameStop. That's like you know, every week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Since they've kind of upped the game and we have a 50/50 store, you know, it's like 20 minutes from here. But then they have how many other satellite stores within, you know, a 5-minute drive of every store. So it's like within an hour's radius, we can hit, you know, 15 different GameStops if we wanted to.
Yeah. They're like Walgreens. They're everywhere.
Well, there's like 3 Walgreens around here, and we have to drive pretty much an hour to get to those. So.
Wow.
Yep.
Man, my Toys R Us was right on my way home from work. So it wasn't even out of my way. It was just there. And I could stop there at lunch and things like that. And to be honest, you know, I wasn't going to Toys R Us. I never went until it was gone, right? And they announced it was closing up shop. And then I'd go a couple times a week. You know, a couple things. You know, obviously we're hunting for that phase of
oh yes,
of the Pacific
Robots.
Rim stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, but other than that, it was just going and, you know, just sucking it in as much as you can before it's gone. And I tell you, those last couple trips when half the stores got the the police hazard tape around.
Yeah.
It like that started really
blocking
getting
off areas and stuff.
Yeah.
Do not enter.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
I also miss the exclusive. Like I loved going into Toys R Us when they had exclusives and trying to find those exclusives. And they always had a lot of exclusives, and that's gone. That granted, Target and Walmart and Walgreens have their exclusives, and it's fun, hunting those down. But Toys R Us, I was always enjoying what exclusives they had, and I always seemed that they had the best exclusives. So.
Well, so Brian, so it sounds like it didn't really change much for you because you were kind of late to shopping there.
Yeah, and to be honest, I wasn't even really hunting for stuff back then either. I only started to hunt when our Happy Little Show here started. To be honest, so I mean, it was kind of cool going in. I mean, they didn't really have anything. They never had anything except the occasional, little Halo Mega Constructs thing that I picked up every once in a while. But, I was really going in looking at the end to see, what kind of deals they were giving on gaming accessories, because I do want to get a Switch eventually. And then I never ended up getting anything. And I probably should have. I did buy a shitload of batteries, so I got batteries to last me forever. They were practically giving those things away.
Mm-hmm.
But it is sad. And these little inklings of news that we're getting that, supposedly, we had those little toy box things pop up, whatever that was. Yeah. But there's always news. Like, they didn't let the brand die, so. I mean, who knows? There actually could be a market for toys, right? And if they get to reboot this thing, God willing, and they're not settled with this weird debt that Toys R Us had, for all those years before they closed up. I mean, they could be a force again if they open up and do stuff, right? So, I mean, and I remember when the news was coming down, everybody was like, well, they can't compete with Walmart and Target, and people are going to Walmart to buy milk. You might as well buy, a toy while you're there, whatever the hell the excuse was. But my Walmarts and Targets don't have shit. So either I'm late to the game and they get cleaned out, but I mean, Toys R Us at least had toys in there. My Walmart aisle, at least the action figure aisle, is bare. It's always bare.
Yeah. I find it sad. Walmart's distribution is just horrible, because there's like 2 of my Walmarts are just completely bare. Like, there's nothing on the pegs, and it's just sad.
Well, I mean, you clean them out on Monday. They're not
exactly.
Anything by Tuesday and Wednesday.
That's not true.
So Dave, what about I know you always kind of complain that your Toys R Us was not really.
I had a Toys R Us probably about a half a mile at most away, like, walking distance, literally. And I could never find anything there. The only time
you could never find anything in that Toys R Us because it's like a mess.
It's disgusting. The only thing we bought in that Toys R Us was baby food, like, like towards the end.
I know exactly the Toys R Us you're talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, I would go on occasion, like, especially like hearing like you guys looking for stuff, or, just anybody, hey, this figure's hard to find. I would just go because it was so close to home. I would just stop there just to walk through the aisles for a minute or two. But every time I went, I left disappointed.
Dude, Dave's Toys R Us, there was no boys and girls section. They're just all mixed together because how much a mess of it is.
No, there was the boys and girls section, but the way it's set up, it didn't seem that way. I get what you're saying. But it was that Toys R Us that you found like all the packages opened, like shit was stolen left and right. You found, if you did find the figure you were looking for, something was wrong with it, like it had already been like opened or ripped apart. Like, I remember when they had like Masterpiece figures, right? They used to put those black plastic alarm straps on them, but they put them on so tight that the whole box was messed up.
Crunched in. And
like, I don't know, it would just irritate me walking in and out of that fucking place. There was another Toys R Us closer to my mother's house that I enjoyed going to, because once in a while you would find like an actual aisle full of toys. Like, you would find fucking stock. maybe not stuff I collected, but just to see, you know, a whole fucking line of Ninja Turtles or whatever it was, and fully stocked was nice to see. You know, like Dom said, the one closest to me was always like bare minimum.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know, when I lived in Chicago in like the mid to like kind of later 2000s, and like the Star Wars, you know, distribution for before the Black Series, and I was into the 3 3/4, still at the kind of the tail end of that. You know, it was similar to what you were describing with your GameStops, JD. Like I had 4 or 5, you know, different locations in each direction I could go to. And some were a little bit nicer than others, but for the most part, you know, it was a lot of product, right? A lot of stuff to go look at. And I would just kind of pick and choose where I was running errands and stuff like that. And, you know, if I was ambitious, maybe I'd hit more than one if it was like early on like a Sunday morning, like right when they would first open and Chicago traffic hadn't picked up yet and I could zip around quicker. And then, you know, just recently last year, my work assignment was in Maryland, and there was one Toys R Us there about similar to you, Brian, like maybe 6 or 7 minutes down the road, if that. And it turned into just my place to go take a little midday break, you know, make like a coffee and the Keurig and take it in the car with me and drive down and just walk around for, you know, 10 or 15 minutes. And the same thing. I don't think I ever found anything. I think of the year I was there, I found Marvel Legends, you know, the Jim Lee Cyclops one day that wave hit. And, you know, it's probably about it as far as purchases, not counting the Phase Life Pacific Rim stuff at the very end there. But, you know, consumer habits change. So I don't want to rehash your conversation, right? We talked a lot about buying more stuff online. But I will say this, you know, similar to, again, JD, your point, I check GameStops now as they have, you know, broadened their selection and carrying more product. But it's not just the store. I find these smaller stores building a rapport with the associates there, or, you know, maybe the manager, right, or just the people that you see on a regular basis, and that might be like a Walgreens or those stores. But I think that's maybe where things have changed. Now, I haven't gone as far as to say, hey, call me when you get this. But, you know, back when it was hot in the fall, that Gamerverse Spider-Man Marvel Legends, I was able to track down one of those for a friend that knew really liked that game. And it was, you know, the manager calling me to let me know that they had a pre-order that didn't get picked up and that they had one. Have you guys had any changes that way? Like, Dom, I know you're really good at building relationships in your stores.
Yeah, no, like, you know, it's like, I really like, you know, in GameStop is more of like, you know, I really don't, like, I talk to the guys and, you know, they know me when I come in. But like, I just, you know, there's so many people coming into those stores, and for them to isolate, or, you know, especially like, you know, if you're going to ask, like, you know, if the pre-order falls through, can you give me a call? You know, maybe maybe they do, maybe they don't, you know, depending on their shift and everything like that. It's here or there. So I've never experienced that, but like, you know, just normal conversation. What I like about GameStop is that those people who work at GameStop are also sometimes collectors. They understand the product. They understand mostly games, but like other, you know, since the toys are showing up, they're getting more into it, and some they're collectors as well, some of them, and it's really great talking to them and just getting their perspective and just chatting with somebody like, you know, while you're on one of your hunts. So it's really cool.
I will say that. So like when Toys R Us was open, like nobody would talk to me.
Yeah.
But I go into, you know, now that I go into GameStop all the time, the manager, like the head guy there that handles all the promotions and all that stuff, he spends a lot of time there, and he's usually in there every time we go in. And I mean, he knows us by name. If there's something I'm hunting, he goes out of his way and he calls, like, you know, I was looking for, Jesus, I don't even remember what it was, but I was hunting something. He called like 8 stores within a 100-mile radius.
Yeah, they've done that for me too.
Just to, you know, he's like, oh no, don't worry about it. You know, everybody's getting ready to close. They're either going to answer the phone or they're not. And, you know, I just want to, you know, try and help you out, get you what you want.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
But, I mean, he, like, we'll go in there. He's like, hey, did you hear this is coming out? I don't know if you wanted to pre-order it, or he'll go through a whole thing, take us around the store and just be like, hey, this is all new stuff we got, or hey, we haven't gotten anything new, but it's good seeing you guys, and it's nice now that I can go somewhere and they know us.
That's cool. That's a rarity these days, right? That type of just friendly customer service in places.
Yeah, I mean, before it was just like everybody looked at you like you had 3 heads.
They're definitely, but you can see that they're definitely pushed to do that. Like you walk through that door, they're like, hey, how you doing? What can I help you find? And they are pushed to do that. Like I think that's their policy, and I love it. They're also pushy in regards to pre-orders always. Do you want to pre-order this? You want to pre-order that? Pre-order this, pre-order that. And sometimes, I'm for pre-ordering some certain things, but other things I don't want to spend my time pre-ordering it because I might be interested in picking it up eventually. So, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the fact that you can have a conversation with somebody in the store and they're into pretty much what you're into, and you can have that conversation.
Yeah.
So. But I asked a question to you guys. Do you think what's the longevity in GameStop? You think in regards to keeping up? Because I know there's tough. A lot of I know there's a lot of talk about that they might turn it throw in the towel and in the near future and what is GameStop going to be the next Toys R Us in regards to just closing their doors and that's it, no more GameStops?
I think it's definitely a possibility. One of my gripes, or I don't want to say gripes, but one of my criticisms of Toys R Us was, they are the leaders. They were the leaders in the toy industry, so to speak, right? From a retail perspective, like. You go to certain stores for certain things. You go to a toy store to buy toys,
Mm-hmm.
And if you see that there is something happening that is basically reducing the interest in toys, you're going to be in trouble. So we talked about this, a year ago where, back in the day, you'd see Toys R Us commercials, right? You'd see Toys R Us flyers. Like they were in the toy promotion business. And after a while, you stop seeing that. And it was more or less up to the manufacturers of the toys. They were the ones doing the advertising and things like that. And so if you're not going to put the effort in to promoting the product that is keeping you alive, then, that's a problem. And that means that you're not forward thinking. And so if we look at GameStop's perspective, I mean, remember, how did they start, right? I think they actually evolved from another company. Wasn't there another brick and mortar store that had a name they did the same thing before? It was called GameStop, I think it was.
It was like EB Games, Babbage
Games, yeah.
Babbage's, right. Yeah, right. That was what I thought of. I think that there's some history there, yeah.
And one of the things was, wow, buying used games, that's great, right. Because this was before you could find this stuff on the internet, right? And before we had places like Zolicon where you had people just stacks of old games and things like that. So you got to trade your stuff in. Obviously maybe the trading value wasn't what you thought it was, but at least you got something, and you got to find games that were basically out of print and go play them, right? And you can go someplace and get it. You don't have to buy it online and wait for it to be shipped. You had some immediate gratification there, which was nice. But you see how the gaming world has evolved with, the YouTubes and the streaming and stuff like that. They really should have got ahead of that. And perhaps maybe they could have launched a video game streaming service for these people to compete on, as opposed to people just going to YouTube and the Twitches and whatnot. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, they could have been forward thinking and spearheaded that and been, the name that's associated with video games, and it was a missed opportunity, and now they're going to get left behind, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Barry, but like I know that they've
No.
been struggling on the video game perspective because of all the trade-in values and how accessible now it's to get video games. Most of them are downloadable, and it's like you don't really need to go to a brick and mortar store to buy your video games anymore. And when obviously when they brought in toys into their stores and collectibles, I feel like are they making the smart moves in making and selecting the inventory that would sell toys for stores like that, and whether they're whether they're going to be successful in doing it. So it's like I feel sometimes when I walk in there, some choices of inventory that they buy is questionable. Like I just feel like why did you buy all of the Playmates Power Ranger stuff? Like you really I know you probably got it for real cheap, but like at the end of the day, that stuff didn't even sell in Toys R Us, and like why would you expect it to sell in your stores?
I think it's interesting, right? So any retail business model, you're right, Brian. You have your core, right, product, and you've got to make sure that you are like right on the edge in terms of what's modern and current for that core product. But having your supplemental items is helpful. So like I remember like in the 90s, those other chains, like the card games were a big deal, right? When you couldn't just go to Target and buy Magic the Gathering cards, that wasn't a possibility. So that was the only kind of retail place, right, where you could go find that stuff. For all those other card games that kind of followed Magic the Gathering and at its certain peak, or even computer software, which is different now, right? You don't buy, hard disks, right, and stuff for your computer. It's the same way with the games. But you're right. If you're not staying ahead with the industry changes, then you can have all the supplemental stuff in the world. It's not going to be enough to support you, as far as that goes.
I could see them going down the same hole as Toys R Us completely. Like you guys said, the video games, you don't actually need the hardware, the actual disc anymore. You just got to download it. Like you can stay home and download a video game these days. You don't need to go to the store to buy it. Same thing with the Walmarts and Targets. You could find video games there. You could find toys there. You could find clothes there. You could find food there. You could find fucking laundry detergent there. You don't need to go. It's a one-stop shop, and that's what's killing these businesses that only, their focal point is only one thing, or a multitude of things, but not as much as Target and Walmart. Let's say we went to Target this weekend, Gary, right?
Yep.
My wife bought clothes, and I saw just as many toys as I did in the games, more toys than I did in the GameStop that we went to. More, and I mean, maybe it didn't have the same quality of toys there, but who's really shopping for toys? I mean, we're part of the minority, if you want, you want to look at it or not. Kids are still the ones buying all these toys. It's kids buying the toys. It's the parents buying the toys, and they're not going to go into a GameStop to do that unless their kids dragging them in the store. They're going to pick up the toy when they're going to Target to pick up the groceries, or Walmart to pick up, the fucking baked chicken in the back of the store. You know what I mean? They might pick up a toy for their kid at the same time. It's, in my opinion, everybody's lazy these days. We're all, subject to that. We stay home. We order food. We don't go out anymore. You got all these delivery services. You have, means of entertainment by not leaving the house. Some people still like to go out and hunt. I know a few of us on the panel do, and I think that's great. But we're fading away, and these kids are just so lazy. Like they don't do nothing. I have a younger brother. He's 8 years younger than me, so he just turned 30. That dude won't leave his house unless he's going like actually to an event or something. Orders all his food, has fucking delivery, even supermarket delivery to his house. Netflix and chill, or fucking, pay-per-view movies. There's no need for anything, and even clothing. You don't have to leave the house. Free returns, free shipping. I fucking order whatever the fuck I need, and if I don't want it, I'll send it back. Why do I need to leave the house?
Yeah. Yep. Another example of one of these, centric retail stores, centric around, one particular service is, hey, where did you guys used to go to rent movies, right?
Blockbuster, yeah.
Blockbuster movie merchants.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, Blockbuster, I mean, the stuff's evolving, and they could have done a streaming service, right? And Netflix, you look at them, they were like the go-to place for streaming. Everybody else is streaming now, but now Netflix they're like, you know what? Well, we'll start making our own content now, right?
Right.
And some of that's really good, and it's bringing people. I still don't know how they can afford to make all this content. I'd like to see how that business model works, but still, I mean, you gotta, if they're promoting like this is the place to get stuff streamed, and if they can have a good business model where it's like, all right, no, let's Warner Brothers, let's put our stuff on Netflix, Disney, all that other stuff. I mean, that would be like great. They'd be like the Amazon of streaming, and obviously they're not, because people are figuring out how to do it themselves and things like that to cut out that overhead. But if Netflix were to make it so that overhead isn't that much and just let them handle that business of the streaming for these other people making this content, that would be great. But I don't know. I'm not saying Netflix is in trouble or anything, but I mean, if there's one thing is promoting your brand, but promoting the medium that is your bread and butter, I think is also just very, very important. So,
see, I find this funny. This is the first I'm hearing any of this. I didn't know anything about it. You know what I mean? That this
there's
danger or whatever.
Yeah.
But so thinking back, realizing what GameStop was doing, they actually hurt the video game industry as a whole. They're stealing money from developers and the producers of all the video games. These are artists building these games, a lot of times from scratch, releasing them, a $60 game or whatever. GameStop takes the money, a person goes in wherever, Target, wherever, buys the $60 game, trades it into GameStop, and then GameStop sells it for $40. When the trade-in value, they give them like $10 or whatever. It was really hurting the video game industry. And then now that it's like there's all these different ways to get your games. You don't have to leave home to get it. You can download it straight to your thing. I find it kind of ironic. That's all.
Yeah. And it's the same thing like with college, school bookstores in college. Like, you buy a brand new textbook, and then college kids will sell it back, and the bookstore will resell it for a higher value. They'll give you like nickels on a dollar, and they'll sell it for a higher value. And the author of that book,
who's that sound like?
What?
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just joking. You don't take trades, Dom. We know that.
No, I know. I don't take trades.
You take sexual favors.
Yeah, that's what
exactly.
I do. Meet me in the corner.
I don't know about you guys. In college, I loved trade-in textbook day, because we'd go in, get some money, and then we'd go get some beer, get a pizza.
But I was talking to my professor one time, who was an author of one of those textbooks that we used, and the way he would beat the system was basically reissue another edition, and the old edition no longer is needed. So it built a little game that between the bookstores and the authors of these books, where you would have to create a new edition, and the new edition would be like he said, he simply just changed the problems in the book. Like, this text material is the same, but the problems would be different. But that was due to the fact of what the bookstores were doing. These authors would have to change their style and create new editions to basically make their money. But I just find it to me with GameStops, I just find it it's I don't know whether it's a flawed plan in regards to the toys that they have, and I guess somebody's cat agrees with me, and
yeah, exactly.
but I just feel like they're small. They have a small footprint in regards to how much toys. Some are 50-50. Some have a little small corner in the store. But I feel like with that small footprint, they really have to be selective on what toys they put in that area, and what it would attract more customers, and maybe be where these toys are the only place where you can get them because they're exclusives or whatever that case may be, or just they're like, if whether they do a license contract with NECA and say, we're the only place where you can buy NECA is in GameStops, something like that, where, in NECA is sold in Targets right now. And then, some NECA toys are sold at GameStops. But like, if they get that isolation, they probably would get more foot traffic and stuff like that from collectors because that's the only place to go get them. But like, I just feel like, some choices like, like every time I see a SH Figure Arts Dragon Ball Z figure in GameStop, it sells.
Yep.
It's within days, it's off the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
But like, then I see other stuff that just sits there. And then all of a sudden they putting on their clearance and their clearancing of things it's so fast. It's like almost double the speed of what a Target or a Walmart would do.
Speaking of clearance, I just got to say, Dave, what did we see? A wall of the now? So the Think Geek store, right? I had never seen a brick and mortar version until the one mall here in Albany has it. It's fine. It's interesting. I enjoy it. Not so much as a destination, but it's a place to stop in if I'm there, like for legitimate shopping or looking for shoes or something like that. And they carry a lot of product, right, Dave? It's pretty diverse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know their connection to GameStop behind the scenes. I haven't done like the research, but they carry a lot of GameStop exclusive items there as well.
Think Geek owns GameStop.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I figured, okay. So obviously there was something there. But Dom, that's where I found one of your Storm Ninjas, right? The San Diego version, right? And it was cheaper than any of the online stores. Dave and I saw some Storm collectibles there this weekend from Tekken, from that new line.
That's what they should be doing. That's like what they should be doing because they'll get that foot track. If you can find SDCC exclusives at your store, I'm going to go there.
They had Figma and a lot of figure art stuff, so it's fun to look at. So like I'm just appreciative that there still is some place where there's product to go see. They had a lot of carryover, from the last end of the Masters Universe Classics and pieces like that. So I don't know. I think it's just I'm appreciative, I guess, that there is still some place to go look at, and have something to see and maybe be surprised. That's all.
I completely agree with you, Gary. I like the variety they have. I just feel like with that small footprint that they have, even if you're a 50-50 store, you really need to be very selective on what you're getting in that store because your space is minimal, and at the end of the day, your turnaround for those figures are faster than a Walmart and a Target, and you're clearancing these things out faster than them. And if you're not selective, being really picky on what you're going to put on your shelves, some of the stuff you're going to find in clearance, and you're going to be clearancing it for 50%, 60%, 70%. Some of the stores by me have things 75% off.
75%.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the deal they've been running here for the past.
Because they have all this product now, and they can't sell it, so they got to they're clearancing it out, and they're clearancing it double the speed than Walmart, Target, any of those big department stores.
Well, it's interesting. Go ahead, Dave.
I said, would you say they need to transform their business model?
I just think they just I'm hoping that what they're learning, like I hope they're looking into what they're doing and what items are going and clearancing faster and staying on their shelves and just making an observation of it. And if they can do a Patriots halftime adjustment, go ahead and do it. Get it done and hopefully they can survive because I enjoy going to GameStops. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be another hit if those GameStops go away.
Well, it's interesting, right? We've had to, transform and adapt our buying and shopping habits. Dom, you had a thought about that, I think, right?
Oh yeah.
Dave tried, and then I tried. I was just trying to,
Sorry. But like I posed a question then in the group, like to see how important to you as a collector, Transformer collector, whether transforming your Transformers is important to you. And so I know I've listened to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah,
I've met a lot of fans and been around where there's a lot of guys who enjoy transforming their figures, playing with their figures, and then some guys just don't enjoy transforming their figures and keeping them up on their shelf and not touching them and using them as like a statue figure or basically a remembrance of their childhood and use it as that perspective. So I just put that out to you guys on what you like. What do you transfer? Like, I know some of you like, or do you transform them a lot? Do you transform them a little bit? And then I'll pose my next question after you guys answer.
Well, I'll just say you really had me thinking about that because I think it's a different take on. We're not talking about Flame Toys doesn't transform, no. But it's not that conversation. But I had to really think, and so I have 3. In my limited space right now, I've got 3 MP scale figures to my right, and I've got Grimlock. Right, I've got the Grinder, which I had displayed briefly in robot mode. He's been in Dino mode for 7 or 8 months, and he stayed there, and he'll probably stay there. I have the Magic Square Prime, which I've not transformed, but I enjoy, as an action figure as a Prime. And then I have the DX9 Wild Rider, right, as Henry. And that came in car mode as the 80s Ferrari, and I haven't changed it. Dave, you saw it. Like, it's sitting there because I like it as the car. I like it better as the car, I think, than maybe as the robot. And it's warped because I like knowing that it transforms into the robot, though. I mean, I could go buy a 1/18 scale Ferrari, right, or Lamborghini or whatever type of toy car and have a representation of the car. It's not about that. It's I don't know. I like looking at it that way. So I have those 3. I have a dinosaur, a Prime robot, and then the car. And I just have to accept the fact that I don't like transforming stuff that much. I get it to the mode I think maybe that I like for the character, and then I leave it there, and then to me it's an action figure after that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, like I think, all right, so I'll start here. When I was primarily only a Transformer collector, not maybe picking up little things here and there, but mainly Transformers, I was okay with the transformation, like transforming things back and forth here and there because I had a limited collection. I had, 10, 15 toys at a point. So I wasn't getting them all in one shot. So I wasn't sitting there and having to transform them, back to back. I find now that I'm into so many other lines and collecting so many other things. In general, I don't have the time to just sit there and play with the toys as much as I would like. So it's more of a display thing for me now. So sure, if it comes in car mode and I want to make it into a robot, I'm going to have to transform the thing. And do I appreciate the engineering that goes into it? I do. It's cool, especially when they can make it look like a car and then they can make it look like a robot and it doesn't look like shit in either direction it goes. I appreciate it. I think it's awesome. Mm-hmm. When we were kids, the alt mode is the car mode was usually the mode that looked more like it was supposed to look, and the robot mode always looked somewhat like it was supposed to look. It never really did what it was supposed to. Nowadays, we're getting these Transformers that look right out of the cartoon, and the work that's going into them to do that is amazing.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not gonna spend, hours upon hours transforming my figures just because I want to, especially some of them that they're so delicate that if you did it once, if you do it a second time, you might be loosening the hinge a little more, bending the plastic just slightly. So I might just leave it how I want to keep it, whether that be the robot mode or the alt mode.
That's how I felt. Like I think I used to feel an obligation when I was, again, Brian, you mentioned being just solo before being kind of in the groups and more active, with other people in the hobby. And when it's just me, buying toys, and I felt weird like that in that setting. I felt like it's a Transformer. I should do it more often, or I should display it one way for a while and then transform it back and display it that way and then put it back again. And I think, I don't know, maybe I've just gotten over it, but I'm like, I'm going to put it the way I personally like it, and I'm good with that. So.
How about you, Brian? I want to hear from you and GD.
Yeah.
Brian, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Brian.
Uh-oh.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I do like to transform my stuff from time to time, especially when each mode pays off. Obviously, these things are in bot mode because I think they store better on the shelf that way. For now, but it depends. To me, the Dinobots are always a joy because, dude, when you're done transforming it from an awesome, huge ass, fucking great robot, you get a fucking awesome, huge ass, great dinosaur at the end that you can also kind of mess around with. I like looking at cars. I mean, when I was in college, I was a car guy. Like Gary, like I could tell you exactly the horsepower on whatever car and things like that. It was fun. Me and my roommate used to, study up his Motor Trend magazines and whatnot. And so, I always did kind of like that. But, when you look at the things that are like IDW, obviously they cater more to the robot mode and the personalities of the robots and things like that. So transforming them really isn't that great sometimes because you just don't care because they don't really transform into anything, right? And I do like trying to figure out the puzzle of it. I will admit though, if it's a frustrating, why do you want to have a frustrating puzzle, right?
Yes.
Rubik's Cube can go fuck itself, But some of them really do have a marvel of the engineering on how you get from one mode to the next. And I really, really appreciate the work that these folks have done to think that up and make that happen, especially when you see some kind of weird joint or a method of getting something from one place to another that you haven't seen before. And to be honest, you see a lot of this stuff with the faux chest or faux whatever to, get that aesthetic in the bot mode. And PO1 is one of my favorite figures ever. But, it does have that faux grill, which I never really cared much about as an issue. But, I just don't want to sound like a hypocrite when I look at Sunstreaker and I'm like, the faux chest, I mean, it makes the transformation more complicated than it should. This new Prime coming out, it's going to be more complicated than it should, I feel. Same thing with the Bumblebee and things like that.
And I like where you're going there, Brian, because I wanted to pose a secondary question to saying, do you guys feel like, that these masterpieces and how complex they're getting, and some of these masterpieces pretty much stop you from enjoying that transformation part of Transformers? And maybe that's why, Chug and some simpler transformation toys are more enjoyable in regard to a Transformer, because the fact that it's easier to transform back from one mode to another. Like that's why I feel like I still stick with Chug, is because I can transform them easily back, and like your point, Dave, it's not as expensive or fragile as these MPs are, and they're meant to transform, but at the end of the day, do I really want to transform them and risk breaking any of them when I spend $300, $600 dollars on them? It's an interesting question, because when I see the community and how people talk about their Transformers, it's like, the toy is meant to be transformed. It's a toy to be transformed back and forth. That's what Transformers is all about. But like, it's to the point where now it, especially for us in our age group, like, it's more of a nostalgia thing. And we, whether we prefer our Transformer in robot mode because it gives us that feel, or card mode because it gives it that feel, then go be it. But that's what you usually typically leave it as, and you leave it up on your shelf and you enjoy it, and you just, brings you back to that, those good old days. But I just feel like, if companies can make it more simplistic and better quality and good paint, I think Transformers would go back to its original roots and people would transform it back and forth instead of making it so complex. Now, the complexity might be there due to the fact that you need, to make it more of an action figure articulation and all that stuff. But, do you really want to do that and sacrifice what Transformers is really all about? But that was just my thought. And JD, you can chime in because I know you transform a lot. I know you transform your toys a lot, but I know, and I'm gonna pose this to JD and Brian, like, do you feel like over time, like from the beginning when you got into Transformers and collecting Transformers, did you transform your stuff a lot more often? And then over time, do you feel like that's been diminishing? You know?
Who wants to go first?
You could go.
I was going to say, since I didn't get to answer the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Anybody that watches this show can answer this question for me. Like, I've said it a billion times. I transform my shit back and forth. I'm not worried about breaking anything. I mean, there's certain toys out there I won't. You know what I mean? Like, when I had Apollyon, of course, I'm not gonna fucking do that. But you know, there are definitely ones that I pull off, and I sit and I mess with them all the time. And I don't know. So yeah,
but has your transformation of your toys being I'm just expecting that you say no on this one, JD, but like, has your transformation of Transformers diminished over time since you've been collecting them, or no?
You mean, has the transformation like destroyed them?
No.
I love transforming them.
Yeah, have you been transforming the same amount of times? Have you been transforming the beginning of your collecting the Transformers is the same as what you're doing now?
I mean, probably not. You know what I mean? There's so many other lines that I'm in. You know, there's definitely favorites I get out.
Yeah,
like the Magic Square Prime. Like, I haven't put that on a shelf. I just sit and mess with it all the time. It's still sitting here on the desk.
Yeah, but how many times have you transformed it?
I don't know.
Multiple times?
Yeah, oh yeah. Like,
all right.
Like
now, JD, do you transform it because it's simplistic? It's not that hard of a transformation. It's a fun transformation.
It's fun.
So, do you think you're gonna?
It's meant to be fucking flip back and forth.
Exactly. So, like, do you feel like you would, if you purchased the official, that one that's coming out, would you be transforming that one more as you would transform like your Magic Square? You think?
If I'm going by what I'm seeing, and it looks hella more complicated, probably not.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And at that point, I'm not gonna buy it. Just because. Why do I want to? I like flipping my toys back and forth. Of course, again, there's toys on the shelves that I don't fuck with because I don't want them to break. But now, kind of realizing that, okay, why did I fucking waste money on this shit if I'm not going to fuck with it?
Yeah.
So this ain't the same question, right? This isn't the same question, but if they just decided to stop making Transformers that transformed, and I'm not going the Flame Toys direction that they cost $500, but just started making them. Hey, look, they look just like the toy. They still have the fucking hinges where they need to be, and everything's where, everything looks just like it did in the cartoon, but you're not going to be able to turn it into something other than a robot. Would you buy it?
Like, that's the question. Like, would you buy an Optimus Prime if it didn't transform and it's just robot?
I mean, as long as it's not $450,
maybe
$60, we might be talking.
Right. So
like a Masterpiece Prime that's like $60 and works like the minus the transform element, but works like, say, the Cross Dimension or or like the Magic Square. You know what I mean? As far as an
articulation and action figures. Yeah.
So let me ask you this then. So you have Optimus Prime, let's say G1 looking Optimus Prime, like the new Takara one we're getting, like the fucking one the one you have on your desk, JD, just like the TE one that came out fucking last week, whatever. They're making essentially the same character over and over and over, right? So now we buy them over and over and over as well, right? So now if you do the math and you bought MPO1, MPO4, whatever the next one was, and then MP10, and then you're spending more money buying the same character in 5 different iterations that are not perfect when you can, if they were to make one that looks just like the fucking cartoon, no kibble hanging from anywhere, fucking spot on. I mean, you couldn't get any better than this, and it's fucking $400. You know, like, it's a no-brainer for me. I'm gonna buy the fucking $400 toy, because if not, I'm gonna be buying the same toy for the next 5 fucking years anyway. So,
Yeah,
so I get.
I think what you're, I agree with you, Dave. If there was a Optimus, like, this is me and this is my own opinion, but like, if there was an Optimus Prime in robot mode that gave me what I was looking for Optimus Prime, with no kibble and everything looks like an action figure with the articulation that I can, you know, fuss around with and play it as a action figure, and didn't transform, and it only cost me, you know, I'm not saying $400, but like, you know, say it's going to cost less because it doesn't have that transformation function. So say it's like $150, and I don't have to go spend, say, how much we spend from MPO1 to goddamn now this new one, almost like cuts like $1,000 to almost $1,500 that you spent on those toys.
See, now this kind of goes back to the other show. Like,
yeah, I know. So it's like, but like, does that make you less of a? This is my final question, but does that make you less of a Transformer fan, that you're not enjoying a Transformer that doesn't transform?
I would say no, Dom, because I guess I look at it as, it's like, either you like it because it's a cool toy and that's okay, or you like the representation of the character, right? And that could be the fiction, it could be like the animation, the written print, or it could just be the aesthetic that you like the character. Like, for me, I'll tell you, my favorite combiner was always Bruticus, right, for the Combaticons. I do not own any of either Unique Toys or the Zeta, you know, Combaticon figures, because I don't like the way they look. The MMC one that's all inclusive, I can appreciate the idea of no parts forming. I don't know. You know, I'm not worried about scale like some people, and it doesn't have to be the super size. But if someone, instead of me paying, I don't know, $400 to $500 for 5 robots that suck as individual toys and are being sold as, you know, a component of the bigger figure, I'd just rather have one giant action figure that I don't have to worry about, you know, pieces falling off. You know what I mean? Or it's breaking when I put it together or take it apart, you know what I mean? And make that a cool looking Bruticus, because otherwise I'll buy the individual robots, you know? So I don't think it's any less for me. It's, I think it's about the character, and you know.
I agree with you, Gary, because I feel like Transformers, like, and Brian said it, because there's the third part of Transformers, which is the puzzle. I think Transformers is unique as a toy line because of the fact that it appeals to three types. It's an action figure, it's a puzzle, and it's a vehicle. So, you know, I think if you love any of those 3, I think you're definitely a Transformers fan. And that's why I like, you know, and if anybody says anything other, then they're just fools, because it's like, you know,
I mean, there's people that are just fans of the fiction too. You don't have to necessarily be a fan of the toys like we are. You know, we've been picking them up since we're kids, you know, rebuying them as adults, you know, different iterations of them. But there's people that just want Optimus Prime because he was on the fucking cartoon, and that's it.
Right.
And for those people, I think an option of a non-transforming robot would be pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, hey, look, that's Optimus Prime. And they've come out over the years, but they've mostly been, you know, made out of, you know, cheap materials or, you know, PVC and stuff, right? Like, you know, like statues, basically.
We're getting the Revoltech Prime coming out.
Like that thing looks cool.
Yep.
Like it's not like the option isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's there. It's always been there. But like, I just feel like, you know, even like I saw a post that like those metal vehicles that are coming out, like with the Optimus Prime G1 character.
The Jada toys. Yeah,
the Jada. Like, people are like, you know what? If I just imagine a toy maker like if Hasbro took this approach and just offered that and a robot action figure that basically it pleases, and you have both forms without transforming, and it's like, you know, you have both of the best worlds, and you're basically, you know, you got your all form and then you got your thing, and it's only $100, you know what I'm saying? And it's to the nines, to where, you know, it's painted nice, the articulation's great, no kibble on the robot, the freaking alt mode is all chromed out the way it's supposed to be, and you know, it just makes it all better, you know, package for that particular guy that's looking for just those two specific representations without the transformation.
Yeah, I mean the transformation is a gimmick. I mean, that was the gimmick back then, and I can see why there is some people that are, you know, being assholes about it and saying you're not a real Transformers fan if your toys don't transform, because, you know, they're loyal to that gimmick. But, you know, as we've matured, you know, and Dave, as you said it, right, you're becoming more of a showcaser of your toys, right? You want them to look nice. You know, you're not concerned with the gimmick so much anymore, right? And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And Dom, to answer your question, I don't transform my stuff that much anymore as I did when it first started, right? Because when it first started, obviously there was a charm to it because of the nostalgia of the toy that you had back then, and you're like, oh wow, look how he transforms now. You know, that's so much different than the one I had as a kid.
Right. It's interesting, Brian. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, and you just, you know, after a while, you're just like, all right, well, that's fine, I get it. And granted, I've got so many remolds on here, so it's just, you're not going to transform the same thing over and over again if you have the urge to transform something. But
I think that's part of it, because I was going to say, from an observational standpoint, before I was more active and met you guys, right, in our scene, I was just watching ETR as I kind of had discovered on YouTube. I feel like, and those shows, Brian, there are many times you were like always actively transforming someone. Mm-hmm. I felt like you always had someone in your hands that, you know, some character, and, you know, it wasn't distracting. It was just kind of something you were doing, and you'd be like halfway through the show and be like, oh, I got part, you know, you're like, I got 3/4 of the way there, you know, or then you'd finish it. And that doesn't happen, right, as much anymore. Now you're doing other things at the same time, but I think you're right. It's how many Optimus Primes can you possibly transform from a robot to a truck before you're like, okay, you know.
Yeah, to be fair and honest and true to myself, also,
yes, let's bring that back. I like that.
Basically, the last few Transformers that I've gotten, masterpiece wise, they're just things that I don't want to transform, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the 86 movie bots and things like that. I can't remember the last G1 one I got. I guess maybe that MMC Cliff Jumper or something like that. But when it comes to Prime Gary, I just have to disagree with you, because dude, he's a big giant truck, and I have to say, him as a truck was just as much of a character on the show as him as a robot, you know, because he just comes steaming in, fucking with the smoke and the smokestacks coming up, and you know he's coming and he's gonna kick some ass. And I just
except for what was it, G Creations, right? No, I'm just
except for
you know. But yeah, Brian, I thank you for saying, like, you that's the kind of the point that I was saying, like, and what you just said about, you know, 5 minutes ago, like, you know, there are people, you know, people who are so core to the gimmick, feel like, you know, you're not a Transformer fan because you don't transform your toy. And I know there's people out there that, and I just wanted to open up a conversation and express, you know, like, you know, people like us who may, you know, enjoy that gimmick when time comes and time to time, and but you know, at the end of the day, you know, I still love Transformers because the fact that, you know, what they are and the characters that they have and the representations that they're making, and what those feelings I get off from seeing that. So
yeah, and I've become such a fan of posing things, you know, in these last year or so, because I have shells now. I mean, the amount of joy I was getting with transforming a toy, I'm getting with just putting them in the perfect pose now. Like, like I'll spend 15 minutes posing a figure sometimes, you know, and it's funny how the time gets away from you when you're sitting here on the weekend, like, I'm going to post some stuff, and you're like, wow, I only did 5 today. How about that? You know, I think.
Cool. All right. Well, it's really good discussion. I think we could probably call it a wrap for tonight. I'm not as good at this as Jose is, but we can go down the line and you can tell everybody where you're at. And I'm not sure if there's going to be an unbroadcasted hangout or not. If there is, look for the link. But Dave, we'll kind of start backwards with you.
Oh, with me, okay. I'm gonna be rethinking my life now. I'm looking at all my Transformers at the moment and looking to see if I want to transform anything again or not. But I mean, I kind of want to now that we had this discussion. I want to transform something. It's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like we started the conversation like, nah, man, it's fucking robot mode. Leave it alone.
Wait, let's pick, who Dave should transform.
Nah, don't pick that shit. What's the matter with you? I own BagQ products. Don't even fucking go there, Gary.
No, I wasn't trying to be vindictive. I just thought, who would it be fun to look
Warpath.
at? No, Phoenix. do Phoenix so you can swoosh him around like Brian always recommends.
Grab one of those Make Toys Headmasters.
There you go.
Those are fun.
Are they? Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're fun.
Oh, do you have Point Blank, the contact shot?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
a good payoff right there.
He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I'll do that in the hangout if there is one. You guys can find me here on Tuesdays. Find me on Facebook, David Cologne. I'm on Instagram. I take pics once in a while. Haven't took one in a few weeks, but Energon Addict there. And thanks for listening.
Awesome. Great. Very good. Dom.
You can find me here Tuesday nights with you guys, and on the groups, I'm Dominic Grasso.
All right. Quick and to the point, and killing it in the ROC Wellness Challenge and the top group of contenders.
I'm trying. I'm stuck at 5th, but I'm coming, guys. I'm on the heels. I'm on the heels.
Get on the podium, Don.
I'm trying.
We've got a decent amount of time left, so no worries.
Gary, was there a prize for most weight loss? Just weight?
So the total pounds lost. Yeah, I'm going to put together kind of just some recognition of some ROC stuff, and he or she will get their $50 entry fee back. Okay. So it's the winner will percentage-wise will take all minus the $50 fee that goes back to whoever just happens to lose the most overall weight.
So there's nothing impressive for getting inches of your dick back, right? Losing all that weight.
Quality of life. Can we put a price on that? I don't know. Spousal happiness. Can you put a price on that? I don't know. Right.
Hello there, my friend.
Very good.
Hello there.
Appreciate that. On that note, JD, go ahead.
You can find me, JD Brocious, on the Facebook groups. Pigment Surgery on Instagram and Xbox Live here every Tuesday. And tomorrow night, all new Figure Banging.
Oh, yes. Awesome. Figure Banging Week. Very cool.
Find me painting individual bricks.
Yes.
Bricks.
I watch those bricks.
Okay. Brian.
You can find me, Brian Brink, in the Facebook groups, at Brinkalizer on Instagram. And also, I'd like to rescind my initial, may have been perceived as disappointment with this I Am Elemental line. As I've opened up the wave, they all look really good together, and they're pretty awesome. So, they convey a good message. They come with these collector cards. I just want to rattle this off here real quick. So
go for it.
The wave is called Courage, and it's called I Am Elemental. So they have these like little things that look like something from the periodic table of elements. And instead of they have qualities that are associated with courage, such as bravery, energy, honesty, industry, enthusiasm, persistence, and fear. And I think that's really cool. I think I'm going to try and figure out a way to display these in the future, maybe like a shadow box or something, because they're small. And it's kind of neat. So I'm glad I bought into it. So
awesome.
And the cards actually have little things. So one is I am not afraid, and I was born to do this. That's pretty cool.
I thought I was going to finish it up. I'm not afraid to be a nerd.
And I'm not. Not with my my supporting group here.
Okay, very good. Well, again, we didn't really follow the normal process, so I guess we did break a little bit of a mold tonight. Anybody in the chat, we appreciate that. Guys, we've got, you kind of know the drill, but we'll hit some highlights, right? So we have Agabus, who is the official retailer for the realm of collectors. We've got Crashbox, who can supply all of your most creative requests for dioramas, as well as offering Mezco, and dabbling in some other 112 lines for variety and to continue to offer new rabbit holes for individuals.
He's the official doll retailer now of the realm.
Yes, right. We got that going. I saw something with a sheep or something. I'm not really sure what I looked at, but it's out there. We've got shows almost every night of the week, right? Mondays we have Enter the Realm. Tuesdays you've got all of us here on Breaking the Mold. JD mentioned the figure bang every other week. We've got, MPSP Theater on Fridays, all of which have chats. So feel free to get into those. Many times there's a unbroadcasted hangout so that people can hang out, literally, thus the title, and socialize and talk and kind of continue the conversations that way. And lots of new members in the ROC in the Facebook group. So by all means, keep the posts coming and sharing pictures and conversations and discussions there. It's absolutely what makes it more fun to just kind of see new interests and make people feel welcome in that respect. And lastly, I think we've got our second ROC event, right, in about 5 weeks, April 6th and 7th, right? Am I correct? NJCC?
Mm-hmm.
Right, the place where it all started. So just about, I think everybody on this panel will be there. As many people on the other shows, I think locally are able to make it. We'll be there one, if not both days, and come on up and visit for sale there. A lot of merchandise from collections. Yeah, a great place to hang out, chill out, have a drink, have fun, and say hello.
Yeah, and I've noticed some new people coming in the group are within the the traveling distance, so to speak, at least a reasonable traveling distance. So, yeah, man, you got, what'd you say, Gary? 6 weeks, or whatever? 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's about 5 weeks, right?
5 weeks,
almost. Yeah.
Get some plans. Get some plans. Come meet us. Come hang out. Come have fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can't miss the various ROC shirts of all different sizes and styles. But yeah, it's definitely a great situation just to say hello and have some great conversation. I think you'll find that in spite of what the personalities or maybe the characters look like, everybody is super approachable. And by all means, feel welcome to come, be part of the group in real life as well. It certainly makes it even more fun when those conversations continue back into a chat or into one of the hangouts.
Yeah,
sure.
And if you don't have a shirt and want one, come, because we'll have some for sale.
Absolutely. All right, guys, thanks so much. You can find me in the Facebook groups. Gary Allen. I don't really do anything on Instagram, and Tuesday nights with these guys here. Really appreciate the ROC Wellness. We've got several weeks left there. Lots of great progress going on in that competition as well. So stay focused, right? Stay the course, kind of the thing I say at work a lot. And I look forward to the progress. People wrap that up with strong.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
Poor Porkins. I just feel bad. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Everybody have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Fuck you, Dave.
Good.
Awesome.
Bye.